On this channel, I've covered several conversations about the Passport Bros. And the Passport Bros are predominantly an African American group that typically want to leave the United States on personal health and exploring dating options. You'll find many of them in Colombia, in Brazil, in Thailand, yes, some are even in Kenya, but the majority of them are in Dominican Republic. And you guys know me. I've been coming to Uganda for 6-7 years. So the question is always asked, why don't the Passport Bros want to come to Africa? Or Uganda or Kenya? Well, it can't be because the women don't look good, because the women are just absolutely gorgeous here. That's one of the reasons why brothers love coming to Africa. It can't be because the cost of living is too high here. That's not necessarily the reason. And even in DR, you can get scammed there just like you get scammed here. And I would argue and say that you probably can do more business being a black person in Africa than doing business in Dominican Republic. I honestly believe that I would not have Kinganda in DR like I do here in Uganda. So what is the real issue that black men are kind of staying away from this? I'll tell you. A lot of black men have a lot against the pro-black community. Rewind! A lot of us grew up in the black church. A lot of our memories come from there. It's been a safe haven in the community. It's been a refuge for our community. And it's also tied to our legacy of civil rights and overcoming Jim Crow and all of those things. A lot of those things come from the black church. My grandfather, who was in Missouri in the early 1900s, went to school in the black church. He went to 3rd and 4th grade in a black church. A lot of colleges got started in the basement of churches, Spelman, Morehouse. A lot of who we are comes to the church. And that leads us to the particular point. A lot of black men are disgruntled Christians in the faith. Not necessarily because of what the book is talking about. No, that's not really it. It's about what they see happening in the black church. Now, I was watching the brother Ronan the Traveler, and he was having a conversation about this. And I want to play his clip about his experience in the church and his experience with pro-blacks.
Imagine if I'm building a house, right? And I'm talking to contracts, and we talk every day about the same thing. This is the problem with the bill. This is the problem with the bill. This is the problem. And we never build nothing. This is the black community. We already know what's wrong. We know, yeah, white supremacy exists. Not everybody's racist. We know all this stuff, man. And look, and the brothers and pro-blacks are scared. Look, a lot of them are not. I'm not going to say everybody's scared of black women. I think that the pro-black community and a lot of them are like preachers of like certain churches. I used to go to a church, man. I actually liked the church. Met a lot of cool brothers, but the brothers in the church didn't have any power. These ninjas ain't say nothing. You know, I was married, going to church with my 2 little daughters, living that kind of lifestyle. It was all good, man. Shout out to you, brothers, for the happy birthday. Look, I was definitely living that kind of lifestyle, doing it. But the church, I started seeing something odd in the church. Nobody in the church would correct women. They just wouldn't. Even when me and my wife would go to counseling and do things like that, talk, they would get on me. And even though I'm saying, hey, man, this is what it is, they refuse to tell themselves. But until one day I'm sitting in church, man, and I'm coming from the bathroom. I'm sitting in church, I go to the bathroom, come out, and how the church was set up on the bathroom in the back. When I came out, I looked at the demographics of the church. And when I tell you, it was like 80% women, and it hit me. Oh, I see. All their money was coming from the women. This is a lot of pro-black community. So a lot of, and anybody who do stuff, you know, women are the marketplace. Like women, you can sell women anything. Women gonna buy stuff. The women. So that's the biggest thing. Church is not trying to diss them pro-black. That's why you see like people like Umar Johnson. And I'm not really trying to diss him, but Umar Johnson, like, hey man, ain't no back shots, hit that cash out. You know, so people like that, they thrive off of getting the money from women. That's what they get it from. So they're not going to tell them the bad attitudes, man. We've been dealing with this stuff, man. Look, growing up in the 80s, the color purple, all this stuff, man. The Danny Glover character, I forgot what his name, Mister. Like, we've been looking at bad images of black men for years. And listen, I think about 60-something%, 60-70% of black dudes are in the middle class. Most dudes I know, there's only few pookies and ray rays, so to speak, that's in the community. But what them happened with us, we don't call that black trash. We say Pookie and Ray, but we still stand with them. If something happened with them, one thing white folks do good, I've saw this all my life. They cut a line in the sand.
So some people may feel like that's a bad excuse, but I want to really deal with what he's talking about. A lot of people who are pro-blacks that watch King Ghana, a great majority of them are probably Christian. But a lot of us are Muslim. We got pro-blacks who are atheists. We got pro-blacks who are agnostic. We got pro-blacks Nation of Islam. We got pro-blacks 5% Nation. We got pro-blacks Hebrew Israelites, right? And most of us center our pro-blackness around this whole idea of Pan-Africanism. That could be a reason. And it's all about coming together as one collective. But one thing is for sure, a lot of black men feel like there is a lot of black woman worship in the pro-black community. For example, let's take Dr. Umar Johnson. Dr. Umar Johnson is always saying interesting things like this.
Black queens forever, snow bunnies never. I said black queens forever, snow bunnies never. I said black queens forever, snow bunnies never.
Then you have the kind of black woman is God kind of things, right?
I am of the belief, and I won't impose my will on y'all, but I am of the belief, based on facts. Not talking about blind faith, based on facts. I am of the belief that the black woman is God. I bear witness to this every single day of my life. Yeah, you can clap it up. Don't be insecure. This black woman is God.
Right out.
Jesus had to be born by somebody.
And she was black.
The black woman is God. That's what I want to start off this conversation with. She is God. I was drug dealing, I was gang banging, I was hustling. I've been shot, stabbed, I've been sliced. I lost all hope. I lost my humanity. Didn't care about white people, didn't care about black people. I can't bear witness to an intangible God, an intangible force. Believe it exists, something exists. Beyond this, of course, I agree with that. But what I can bear witness to is when I came home from prison that last time around, my black woman, with that word processor neck. You ever had a word processor, you type it and it goes to the other side, and you have to smack it to the side? That's how her neck moved whenever she angry at me. She permed hair, she had her hair dead, her nails dead, and the word processor neck. Stressing me out every day, but visit me as much as she can in prison. And I was so happy when I first went to prison, I felt like I accomplished something. Because the first time I went in and I came out alive, I felt I got my stripes. Then I went into prison for something more intense, for murder. And no one told me, when I get visits, I have to strip naked, open my legs and cough, to the satisfaction of the perverted white man in their fear that we may be hiding something in their prison. I had to do this every day before my wife visited me. And the first time I got a hug from my daughter, I was in prison. I was in Rikers Island.
The reality is that a lot of these guys are kind of afraid that if they, want to be in the pro-black community, a lot of them that leave the black church, when they even would decide to come over to the greater pro-black community, they feel like it's the same thing. Now, I will say that depending on which sect you join, if you're Black Hebrew Israelite, things like that, right? But the reality is this on the ground. I see more women coming to Africa and doing things in Africa than black men. And he's always talking about that, people cater to the people that spend the most money. Well, then that's economics. And we gotta sort of understand that, right? Black men have to understand that they gotta also make a reason for people to want them to be in the community. That's something that black men gotta understand. And I understand the passport bros and what they're saying and things like this, but at the same time, just because you have women that are joining something and you feel like it's female dominated, me being a person that's in the pro-black community, I feel like you have every right to be an owner and run your things the way you want to do it, especially if you're on the continent of Africa. And I think that one thing that the passport bros have to realize is when you go to a place or that country, the men in that country have created a system for their women to be like that. That's why they're like that, right? And when you go to that country, you are benefiting from what those men have done with their women. And I'm not trying to say that black men have not done great things for their women, but it's something that we got to look at. You know, as a man, you own and then you build wherever you are in the world, and then you make the rules. One of the things I also want to talk about with Ronan the Traveler that I really admire about him is he always talks about black men working together, right? And black men need to work together to build. Doesn't really matter where you're at. You can be in America and do it. You can be in the DR and do it. But wherever you are, you have to do it. And you have to lay out the rules of how you're doing it. If you don't own anything anywhere, you're not gonna really get as much respect. And that's something that as black men, we gotta understand. I'm gonna tell you how I understand that. Storytime music. When I was in Poland in medical school, I took a weekend trip to Lviv, Ukraine, all right? One of my favorite cities in the world. I didn't understand what the hell they were saying, but I had a great time living in Lviv. So much so, I actually wanted to live there. Yes, and this is a dude that liked nothing but black people. That's how much I like Lviv. Now, we know what's going on right now. I can never do that now. But I went to Lviv, came across a particular phone company. And the phone company that I was using was called LifeSail. Now, LifeSail is a phone company that's in Ukraine. And it is like, at the time I was there, second or third largest cell phone carrier in the country. It was owned and operated by Turkish men. Now, I saw a lot of Turkish guys when I was there, right? And I saw a lot of Turkish men in Ukraine. They had a lot of businesses. They would help each other pick up women. They were employing a lot of Ukrainians. And they had a really good tight fist on the economy. And you wanna know what thing? They made the rules. The same thing goes here in Uganda or Kenya or Tanzania. You will see there's certain groups here that are even outnumbered in population, but they make a lot of rules. Indians in West Africa, Lebanese. There are even some Lebanese here in East Africa. You will see it with the Pakistanis and obviously the Chinese. When you see these particular groups, you know one thing. The men are serious. The men are not making any excuses. And they're trying to go ahead on and do whatever they're doing. Now, a lot of black men, we have trauma because of the black church. We have trauma because of the things that have happened to us, and I get it. I understand it. But it doesn't stop you from being an owner and you having to make the rules and what your community is. Let me tell you, a lot of the women that come to Africa without their men, they struggle a lot. So that just goes to show you how important black men are. But I wouldn't say that just because you feel like there are certain brothers in the pro-black community that are simping, that you wouldn't want to be involved anyway, because the continent and the diaspora is all we got. That is our future. I wouldn't want to give up that future for anything else. And there's certain different sects of ideology within the pro-black community that, hey, that brothers can join and carve out for themselves. It ain't gotta be the Hotep guys. It ain't gotta be, some of the brothers that's the black woman that's God. We are way more diverse as a community in the pro-blacks than all of that. I was in the black manosphere for many years. That was really a sector of the pro-black community, if you thought about it, because it was about black men. If you say you are pro-black men, that is, the pro-black community, because you're talking about a certain group of men that are disenfranchised, right? And the passport bros, if they're all black, and most of them are, that is a part of the pro-black community, because they have certain discussions and certain quarrels within the community that need to be heard. They're still in the pro-black community because they are a group of black men that are going someplace else and they're dissatisfied with what's going on. They're still part of the pro-black community because they're all coming together based as a group of men that have certain interests. So I think that when it comes to the pro-black community and people that have a really bad opinion of it, a really negative opinion of it, I think it should stop. A lot of us have made a lot of money because we deal with the pro-blacks. I would tell you like this, personally, I've never done so well and been so successful until I started working with black people, all right? I ain't talking about the simps and whoever else. When I started working with black people in the pro-black sector, everything changed for me. And I would hate for guys to miss out on that opportunity because of a misnomer or a misunderstanding. But overall, I see the brother's point. I love his content. Check him out. Ronan the Traveler. He's a brother that goes to the DR. He's supposed to be in Kenya. I love to meet him. And he's a wonderful content creator. We disagree a little bit here, but overall, great message. I think overall, great concerns. And yes, we do have pro-black Christian simps. Yes, we do have liars. And yes, we do have the black woman as God. Most of those guys want to use women for money anyway and do whatever or take advantage of single moms. But guys, what do you think? It's your boy O'Shea Duke Jackson back at it again here with Fair Use. I'm out.